It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
Well, just right in the throes of the kickoff to the football season, we've been just going really deep into the weeds over the last month or so. And we rarely don't talk sports on this show. But I think today, with the school season starting for so many kids across Sioux Falls, this is a good time to bring in Matt Zimmer's wife, Jenn Kenyon Zimmer, who has a cause near and dear to her heart. And I mean, we'll put it this way. Just imagine not being able to afford to eat lunch and being denied the opportunity to do so as a kid in school. Unfathomable, but Jenn's making sure that doesn't happen in Sioux Falls, and it's closer to happening than anybody would like it to be. So thanks for joining us, Jenn. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me, John.
Yes.
Haven't seen you since
what's that?
Haven't seen you since Lincoln.
We had a fun time in Lincoln. That is for sure. Last month covering the American Association All-Star Game and Home Run Derby with the Sioux Falls Canaries. You asked me a bit ago, to hop on in and to bang the drum for your cause, and more than happy to do so. You did write a story that's up at SiouxFallsLive.com, similar to the conversation we're going to have, but we'd love to hear from you. What made you decide you really wanted to get behind this?
Well, for one thing, I want to make clear that this is not just my sole cause. There's an organization called Hungry Hearts that has done the bulk of the heavy lifting in terms of money donated to ensure that school lunch debt is cleared and paid off for these kids. I just got curious about whether or not there was any remaining at the beginning of the school year. So I reached out to my buddy, Dr. Nold, and he gave me a number. I think it was $22,300 is what was left on the books after Hungry Hearts had done all of their work fundraising throughout the year, because they donate hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's some matching funds in there. And so anyway, the amount of money that was left was less than $25,000. And I thought, what the heck? Like, that can't be that hard to raise, can it? So I decided to get on a soapbox about it. And I don't know exactly where we're at the moment. I know it was several $1,000s in for sure. I haven't had a chance to check with my contact at the child nutrition office of late. It's on my to-do list for today, actually. But I know we're well under $20,000 remaining. So every kid will start without a negative balance, and that's a really good thing, because it's unfathomable, like you said, to have a kid go hungry or have them worry about it. And I feel very strongly about that. So
it's hard to believe that is an option, but you know this whole system better than I do. I mean, I had a chance to do a story about this when I was back in local news a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was, it's just heartbreaking, especially to talk to those in the child nutrition office of the schools who have to be the messengers,
right,
that everyone wants to shoot, just, right, for the term intended. And, but there's nothing they can do. What to your knowledge does happen once? Is it a certain amount that debt climbs to that then they have to start denying kids lunch, or what's the threshold?
I don't actually know. I didn't ask because, frankly, I didn't want to start crying.
Think about it. Yeah, right.
But I do know that this is from a sort of unofficial sourcing, if you will, but someone a contact I have that works within the district, not the child nutrition office and not Dr. Nold, but that fully probably a third of the problem of these kids who do not have access to school lunches or who could qualify for that reduced or free lunch. There's a situation where parents are just not making the effort to fill out the application, or they just are not caring enough to do it. Like, there's a very legitimate and serious negligence issue in a sect of this population of children who do go without food or who would otherwise qualify. And it's not, I clarified this with my contact. I was like, it's not a translation issue. She's like, no, it's not that. She's like, but fully, I would say about 30% of the people whose kids, kids who consistently show up on the, hey, we're in the negative list, they could qualify for reduced or free lunches. And the parents just either won't or don't make the effort to fill out a simple application. And so facilitating that I think is going to be another of my pet projects this year, is seeing how we can help those kids, get their name on a piece of paper, because that shouldn't be a barrier to entry for a child to have lunch if their parent is not making the effort, which is, again, also unfathomable to me. But it's apparently a very real problem, which is, my brain can't comprehend it. But
yeah. And are those, so how does it work in general? It's been a long time since I've been in public school, elementary school. We're talking about the 80s here. And with fond memories of beef cutlets and pepperoni pizza, and the days in squares, of course. But we laugh about it. We had the option; you could bring your own lunch that your mom packed you, or you can go pay. It was like 80 cents a day. Like you had to bring money at the public school to pay for lunch. How does it? To your knowledge, you have a son in the school systems, a 10-year-old. Yep. How does it work right now?
The way that it's paid for is there's this app called, what is it, My School Bucks. You have to have so many apps to have a child in school anymore. But anyway, we just deposit money into his account, and then I don't know if there's a thing he scans or like a number he punches in. I don't actually know what the interface at the thing is like. But so then anytime his account will fall, I think I have an alert set on it that if it falls below like $35, it sends me an email saying, "Hey, dummy, put more money in your kid's account." I don't know. Like I said, I didn't ask the specifics of what those thresholds are of, when do they get the, like the special lunch that's like the, barely a, sandwich. I don't know all the particulars of that because like I said, I kind of intentionally didn't want to ask. I just wanted to find out how much money it would take to make it so that didn't need to be a conversation to have. Because as I said in the article that you guys published for me, I was one of those kids, and it sucked in so very many ways. Not the least of which was just the stigma, the shame, the embarrassment. You know what I mean? Like middle school is in general, like, it's hard enough. And that was a really, really, I don't know, formative experience for me, and thinking about like just the opportunity to, hopefully prevent another kid from having to feel that, like that would be really exciting, is really exciting. So
what situation, drawing from your own experience, would you run into? How would the process work when you came from a place and a family that sort of thing was not affordable? What was the process of going to lunch, hoping you'd get lunch?
I don't recall all of the specifics, but my vague recollection was that there were times when you'd like get to the end of the line, and I want to say we had to punch in. We had like a 4-digit number, and more than once, it was, I think I said in my article, it's about 6th grade that I became aware of the issue, but that I would have to turn around and go like put something back, or like. I think there was a bag lunch situation, I want to say, that was like the, if you didn't have money in your account, but they didn't make you go fully hungry. Like I said, I don't remember all the particulars of it. I just know that the lunch lady who was manning that terminal for all those years that I had to go through that line was an angel, and definitely like was looking out for me and made sure that like I felt as little embarrassment and as little, I guess, just terror and shame as possible, because that's scary as hell, I mean, being 12, 13 years old is hard enough. And then to, suddenly have the lunch line be a place that's not only scary, but just really stressful. Like, great, what's going to happen today? And I feel very, very strongly that this is just one of those things that like school lunch debt should not exist. Like that should be an eradicated term. It's just, It's insane to me. It shouldn't be a thing.
So fill in the blank, and we'll get back more into the process of how people can help, what Hungry Hearts is. But if, and we'll just say when, to be optimistic about the heart of people who will read your column at SiouxFallsLive.com and will listen or watch this chat. If the school lunch debt is eradicated, it gets down to zero, then blank, then what happens?
So it will go directly into an account that will immediately be utilized to fund accounts that will, as we know, unfortunately, they will go back into the negative again. It's going to happen. There will continue to be a need, and I have it on good authority that it is presumed that the need will be greater than ever this school year in particular, given the state of things, if you will. It's presumed that there will be a greater need financially this year than there maybe ever has before. And so any money above and beyond that, like I said, I think it was $23,500 is what the number was when I first contacted Dr. Nold earlier this summer. Anything above and beyond that goes into an account that immediately will go towards clearing balances as they, unfortunately, as we know, will start to accumulate again as the school year progresses. So the money will absolutely be going to good use. If we are fortunate enough, to clear it all and end up with some extra, it will definitely not be, it will not go to waste.
Yeah. Does this ensure free lunch for all, or is it just free lunch for those who would qualify to need it?
I don't know I didn't get into the particular mechanics of how the money is doled out. I just asked for one big number because I figured there were probably some privacy concerns there. So I tried to keep my questions to Dr. Nold as general as possible. All I know is that one big number, the 23,500, was what remained after the 25-26 school year. And I do know that like the reduced lunch application and like the, like need based, like I'm assuming that that's part of the calculus of how they distribute those funds. But in general, my thought was just, I don't really particularly want to get into the weeds of it too much. Just if it's zero though, that means every kid has lunch that day. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not familiar with all the mechanics of it. The people at Hungry Hearts are probably much more qualified to talk. In fact, they surely are. I'm just a busybody mom who decided to get a bee in her bonnet about something. And
You, again, you've talked about what you went through, and you have a 10-year-old now who's more fortunate than you. You're not in the boat of families who are struggling to be able to pay for your kids' school lunches, but you now have a kid going to school every day, and this seems so like, I don't know, redundant, self-explanatory, unnecessary, but I guess we could still just make it so real to people, like not going with lunch for a kid, any of us as humans, but certainly a kid when they're in school, between school walls for whatever it is, 6-7 hours a day. How do you think that affects a kid? Not just the psychological damage that may be done of people of not having any food and, sitting down with other people who have food.
Right.
And you talked about your embarrassment and shame.
You can't learn.
What else do you think would go into not having a lunch and being denied a lunch?
As McGovern said famously, was the exact quote, like a hungry child cannot learn effectively. It's not possible. There's a whole component of your brain needs nutrition to work. So yeah, in addition to the emotional stress, trauma, stigma, it's physiologically a setback to these kids because the human body needs fuel to run and to function. And so, it's just, like I said, it's unfathomable to me that it's even a thing. It shouldn't. School lunch debt shouldn't exist, just like billionaires don't need to exist either. But that's a soapbox for another day, I guess.
Right. But yes, but from my own experience going through school myself, but also working on stories involving schools and children, covering it for local news and talking to people, school officials, et cetera. A lot of the kids that are the quote unquote trouble kids that struggle not only with grades, but their behavior, they tend to be on the side of the lower income kids. And part of that is no doubt partly because they're just not getting enough to eat when we don't. That's why there's Snickers commercials out there, about how crazy our brains and our behavior can get when we're hungry, and sometimes when we're having a bad day or in a bad mood or feeling nervous about life, and we start to say things we shouldn't, do things we shouldn't, even to our loved ones.
And then you factor in that we're talking about developing brains here that
you can trace it back to maybe you just need to eat something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe you're a little hangry, like that happens. And even if you're not chronically like malnourished or not, able to access regular meals. And the fact that these are developing brains, like that can't possibly be stated prominently enough, that how important nutritional development is to a growing body, brain, mind. Like, we know now that like the human personality, it doesn't even finish forming till you're like 25. Your prefrontal cortex is still developing. Like these poor kids are going through the throes of physiologically maturing. You can't do that if you're not fueled correctly, and you sure as hell can't learn very effectively if your body is struggling to do the bare minimum, which unfortunately is a situation some of these kids find themselves in, if their account goes too far into the negative. Like I said, I don't know the exact particulars, and I know every effort is made to not let things like that happen. But at the end of the day, the reality is, like you said, the child nutrition office is like they're the messenger of this thing. Like if I know that her name's Gay Anderson. She's wonderful. She's the child.
Oh,
She's one of the best people. Yeah, she's just one of the best people. She's been an absolute delight to work with on this. I'm sure if she had it her way, like she'd be handing the lunches out for free herself, but that's not, unfortunately, the reality that we live in. And so I know that they work tirelessly to do absolutely everything that they can. And to wit, there was only $23,000 something left on the books after last school year, which I was pleasantly surprised by that number. And that's kind of why I decided to, like I said, get a bee in my bonnet about it, because I figured, well, shoot, like if everybody gave $1 and a couple people have given more than $1. So
yeah.
Very
yes.
attainable.
Yeah. In a moment, we'll let people know how they can give, how it works. It's very easy. Let's just do that right now. Because it was spelled out in your article. I encourage people to read it. And at the end, it told you where to go. And yes. I went there and I felt good. I felt like I've done something as a human today.
Yep. All you have to do is either Venmo or there's an address, and it's listed on the, I should have had it pulled up. I apologize. I was in the middle of.
You know what? I've got it right here, Jen. Okay. The Venmo address is at SFSD Child Nutrition. That's at SFSD Child Nutrition. It's all lowercase letters, all one word, no punctuation, at SFSD Child Nutrition. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, send a cash or check to the Child Nutrition Office of the Sioux Falls School District. That's at 1011 North Western Avenue. That's 2 words, N period, and then the word Western, as in Western Avenue. And the school district's zip code is 57104. So, but much easier. I did it on my phone. Just get the Venmo app at SFSD Child Nutrition. That's it. It takes like 30 seconds, and you'll feel much better about the world and your place in it if you do that. I'll go all the way back to something that you mentioned earlier, that some kids actually do qualify, but would qualify for free or reduced lunches, but their parents don't fill out the paperwork. And I think most people are in the extreme tiny minority here, but I have seen comments on these stories. Like I said, I've done this story before myself. Everybody should be on board with this cause. But there are some people who are going to say, well, it's not my problem that some kids' parents can't or don't fill out paperwork. And so that's, I guess that means they should pay the consequences for that by not having food at school. What would you say?
That's just preposterous, because these are innocent children who they did not ask to be put in this position. They have no, depending on the age we're talking about here, but I happened to hear a couple kind of heartbreaking, specific accounts of little kids who they have no ability to go about filling this paperwork out themselves. They're not it's just unfathomable that somebody could be that heartless. I have no space for that thought process in my brain. And hopefully not too many people think that, but hopefully there's more people that are like you and I and want to help and be part of the solution, because it's not their fault. That's the biggest thing. Is it's just. They're innocent children and they need food to function. Everybody does. So this is like a basic human rights thing. It's that simple.
Yep, sure is. At SFSD Child Nutrition.
And one more thing, if you donate via the Venmo, it may be, Gay did mention to me that sometimes she doesn't always get the address information come through with the transaction. And so if you are wanting a letter for tax deduction purposes, I am helping facilitate that wherever I can. So I don't know if you want to give people my Twitter handle, or you can certainly share my email address. But if you make a donation via Venmo and want to ensure that you get that letter for tax deduction purposes, I will personally facilitate that and make sure that the address gets to her so that she can mail you the letter. So that piece is all tidied up and taken care of too.
Do you want to do that here?
Yeah, sure.
Where can people find you?
You can email me, Jenn at jennkenyon.com. It's JENN at JENNKENYON.com. Or I am on Twitter at Purple Shoe, PURPLESHOE. Those are probably the best ways to potentially reach me.
Okay. Well, I'll let you get back to your day job. Thanks for standing up for kids and ending hunger, and now you have to get back to eventually living and working. Fill in the blank. Living and working at home, daily basis with Matt Zimmer is.
You know what? It's kind of fun. I get to eavesdrop on some interesting conversations sometimes. I've become a real fan of sports gossip. It's kind of one of my new favorite things. I gotta admit. So I get to get some dirt every once in a while.
All right. Thanks, Jenn. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much, John. Appreciate it.
Jenn Kenyon Zimmer, Matt Zimmer's wife. That'll do it for this week's Happy Hour. A reminder, we have the South Dakota Sports Lounge tomorrow with SDSU coach Dan Jackson, the voice of the Coyotes, John Thayer, and more. And you can race back to find all our interviews this week with Dan and with Matt Vitztham and me and Zim yesterday for another Nobody's Listening Anyway. All right there. SiouxFallsLive.com or Midwest Sports Plus, the app. For Drew Trafton today, making sure everything worked, I'm John. Happy hour, and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.